Hello fellow critics, welcome back to the alley. So I was watching WALL-E with my kids the other day. You know the one, the 2008 film about the cute little robot that rolls around the apocalyptic wasteland, picking things up and smushing them in his tummy so they can rebuild the world one trash block at a time. Yeah, that's the one. I was watching this and I noticed something. Why is he the only working WALL-E unit? Why are all the other ones shut down but not him? Weird, right? They're not destroyed. There's not chunks of them missing. They're rusted over. Well, we know that there's a storm that rolls through across the wasteland, and we can probably gather that eventually these storms might wear away at one of them. Although we do see him survive when him and Eve get caught in one. Not only does he have the protective cube mode, but he also takes her by the hand and leads her all the way home during the storm. He seems to have very little repercussions from this. So why are all the others just lying around in rusted puddles? Remember that robots and the AI that control them tend to run cycles and predetermined paths. That's how they work. That's how they work. You program them to do something and they do it. So it would stand to reason that they should react the same or relatively close to the same with, a reasonable margin of error. So he has a small shelter that he climbs into to avoid the oncoming storms. I would imagine that they all have something similar since the vehicle has the B&L logo on it, so why didn't the others return to their safety? What if I said it was because they were told not to? What if I told you a signal came in and told him to freeze in place, to enter sort of a standby mode? Why would anyone do that to all those poor WALL-E units, I hear you crying? They are supposed to be cleaning up the planet so we can come back. Plus, they're friggin' adorable. And you're right, they're pretty dang cute. Johnny Five's more sleek and emotionally awkward little brother. And yes, they were technically designed to clean up the planet, but what if I told you that was just a selling point? A ruse by B&L to get backers and lawmakers to support them. What if I told you they were never supposed to go back? The planet was intentionally ruined, and the only contingency plan was sabotaged by the same people who set it up. The real mastermind behind all of it is By and Large. They own the buildings, they own the ships, they own the banks, they own both the Eve and WALL-E units, everything. Everything. It's a capitalist wet dream. And that also solves why the two machines don't know each other. They were never supposed to meet. WALL-E units were supposed to be wiped out, erased by time. Eve was supposed to come back, find nothing, and then have nothing to report. And likely eventually be taken out by those same storms that were rusting away the WALL-E units. Then there would be no reason to go home. The big brain now in charge of running B&L will keep its primary objective going, which is why the captain doesn't even know how to pilot the ship. Oh yeah. Hey, that's the captain. Right there? Poopface. Know who's gonna clean it up? Not this guy. That's the future. A stress-free, I just dumped in my trousers life. Others have hinted at the reason that makes us all come together. By and Large owned everything, even the waste management systems. In a world full of millions of easily scared people, how do you quickly gain everyone's trust all at once? Orchestrate a global disaster already based on something people are aware of and afraid of, have the solution at hand, have all of the products necessary, and then take them away to space. So it appears a savior to the human race instead of the very culprits who condemned us. Now, why would they do that, you ask? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the long game. The company takes all the surviving humans aboard their ship for thousands of years, right? So long that nobody would remember any other competition or any other way of life other than By and Large. These people are even taught their ABCs by and Large consumer rhymes. By controlling the population and keeping them wrapped up, they keep that grip. By and Large basically becomes a deity to these people. They don't even remember the planet or things from it. We hear the captain learning simple subjects towards the end of the movie. It's like the Matrix and Idiocracy had a weird animated child. So the company essentially monopolized itself on a global scale, carried everyone away long enough that no one would remember anything, kept them there way longer than they said they would by orchestrating another danger scenario, and eliminated the contingency plan by shutting down all of the WALL-E units. Thus, they have the human race in a chokehold that they don't even realize that they're in. Who knows, maybe they'll find a planet that can sustain life eventually, or maybe the Earth will reset itself like it does every 1,000 years or so. And then, hey, when they come back, it'll be like a brand new planet and they could name it. But why doesn't this one WALL-E unit shut down like the rest of them do? That was the question I asked before I just dumped all these things on you. My theory is that from everything that we've seen, WALL-E clearly has sentience. Which some people have hinted to, but none have explained why. They say that a shock to his system somehow gave him sentience, which explains absolutely nothing. So what happens when you electrocute your toaster? Does it suddenly spring to life as the Brave Little Toaster film did? No, because that's not how life works. For something to be awakened inside, something has to be there from the start. And it very clearly is from the beginning. We see signs of something much more than an adaptive AI. In everything this little guy does, from his playful movements, to the way he picks certain items that he likes a lot, to the way that he just wants to love and be loved. I would argue that a sentient being like an adaptive AI that became so on its own terms would not be subject to personality traits that weren't initially there. You know, it would be factually pointless for a black and white answer machine to have anything that it favors other than the correct and easiest path. It wouldn't have a favorite hubcap that it uses as a hat. It wouldn't have a favorite movie. And it definitely would not want to hold hands with somebody, which is the most clear and obvious example, in my opinion, of it trying to remember, of it grasping at a memory. His speech pattern is even that of a person learning to speak, converse to Eve, who has a clear and obvious speech pattern analysis program.
WALL-E. WALL-E. Eve.
So I present to you my theory that the creator of the WALL-E units got wind of the plans, not only to pollute the planet and to send everyone away on the Starliners, but to shut down the WALL-E units as well, condemning the planet to a trash-filled heap. And this man, who I think is a man for reasons that I'll explain over the rest of this, he believes that the only way to ensure the future of the planet is to take matters into his own hands. So he downloads his consciousness into a special WALL-E unit. Similar to GL.A.D.O.S from the Portal series.
Oh, it's you. It's been a long time. How have you been?
Or the Puppets from 9, the 2009 animated film. A WALL-E unit that is a bit more durable, maybe a little more flexible, maybe with a better battery life. And he tucks the code away under a secret lair so that the little guy doesn't act up early and get himself exposed, thus ruining the entire plan. So he hides the secret plan deep within the core of the unit, to be activated by a special signal. A signal that would kill the main programming operations of the WALL-E units. One that he saw coming. Once they decided that they would suddenly have to shut it all down, the signal swept across, X-naying all of them. Because if you had hundreds of units, you wouldn't do a manual shutdown. That would just be time-consuming and costly. You would have one signal, a kill switch, that just eliminates them all. That would save time. That's our government, especially one ran by and large. When they all go down, he springs to life, and the real mission begins. Which he knows will be huge, difficult, and probably only possible because he can scavenge from the other units that have fallen. We can go a little further even and gather that he was likely a parent, probably married with a child. We can gather this from certain habits and things that he's collected. He's very protective over his roach friend, which he doesn't really treat as a friend, more like a surrogate child, you know, very doting of him, because even when the storm's about to come in, he worries about him and allows him that last second to get in, even though it could compromise what they're doing. He's doting on him in a way that friends don't awfully do. I'm not saying you have bad friends, I'm just saying that the paternal bond and the instinct that exists there is something that's just indescribable. And friendship's kind of a different level, you know. Also, he longs for a relationship with Eve once he meets her. He'd already come into the contact with the idea of a relationship. He is consistently expressing loneliness. The loneliness of one who once had companionship, because how can you miss something that you never had? Eve is the mother/wife to his crazy post-apocalyptic family that he was waiting for. The one he dreamed of when he watched those love stories. He even etched their names onto a trash can the same way that somebody growing up with crushes would do. A detail that wouldn't be programmed into a machine, but would be a memory. A memory of something that feels so close, but is always just out of grasp. Also, I have to say that my biggest piece of supporting evidence that this is a man is this.
Here's a little song I wrote. Note for note.
Talking bass is a dad thing. If pop culture has taught us anything over the years, it's that dads fish. Dads love trophies, especially talking ones. Look how defensive he is when she gets close to it. So it stands to reason what the man who created him wanted. His family to survive and to be safe. He likely sent his child off on the Axiom. Could even be the captain's lineage. Ooh. This would also explain why he goes back to default mode at the end. He would need a similar signal to activate his personality mode. A kiss from his one true love. In the end, this was a selfless act by a brilliant man who did what he could in the only way he knew how. Preserving himself for a thankless mission that no one will probably ever understand, just so his children's children have a chance to come home. A father's love knows no bounds. Critically yours, The Fox.